Please be joined right now by a guy who's entering his fourth season as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, one of my favorite people within the league. Kevin Stefanski is with us. Kevin, how are things in Berea, man?
Things in Berea are great, Tom. We broke camp last week, so all the players and coaches kind of scattered to all corners of the globe and charge up the battery and then get ready to roll in July. You know, we play in that Hall of Fame game, so we get to come in a week early. The week ended our off-season program a week early as well.
See, so everybody scatters around. When I texted you a few days ago about coming on, I thought there was at least a 50-50 chance you're in Turks and Caicos, you're somewhere drinking out of a coconut. Are you going to get away, or is there are a lot of stuff you got to wrap up this week?
Yeah, there's a thing called kids, and I got 3 of them, and as I'm sure a lot of people know this, June is the month of every camp you can imagine.
Right.
So I'm all for if there's Uber kids, I'm signing up because I got the chauffeur hat on this month. Now after that, I'll get away. I'll maybe not Turks and Caicos, but I'll be near the ocean for a couple weeks.
Do you get to be sports dad? I mean, are you shuttling people to soccer practices and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. That's me. I got the carload of kids. I'm going to baseball camp and basketball camp and this camp, and then catching a baseball game tonight with the 11-year-old. So
Nice.
It's awesome. I mean, as you know, there's nothing like it. You get to put that dad hat on, and I stand very, very far away. I'm just taking it in. I'm trying to just be the normal dad, like you know how it is when you're at those sporting events, and just letting the kids compete.
Right. So give me you had minicamp last week. You've had, I would fairly say, for a lot of different reasons, a more normal offseason, I think, than a year ago. There's a lot less uncertainty. Give me the state of the Browns entering the 2023 season here.
Yeah, I think we're right where we need to be. I was really, really pleased with the guys and how they handled this offseason and the offseason program. Really, the guys took it head on. We have a new defensive system, new special team system, so there's a lot to learn. And then offensively, as you know, you're constantly evolving. So I was really glad the guys took advantage of the meeting time, the time on the field. And then, like anything else, and you know this, Tom, every year is different. Every year stands on its own merit. So the getting to know your teammates part of that, the building of your 2023 culture part of that, I think is as important as anything you do in the spring and summer. So we worked really hard at that. I mean, we have a bunch of new faces in that locker room, and just letting those guys kind of know what we're about, what we've built, and kind of where we envision this thing going. I think that's as important as any X's and O's you do in the spring.
I found it fascinating when you hired Jim Schwartz to run that defense, you know, because you go back 3 years, and I think that Jim was at a place, I know he had some other things going on, but, you know, there were questions about whether he was going to retire. You know, he kind of left Philadelphia, but then decided to come back and go to Tennessee as a senior assistant. Did you have to do any arm twisting here? Was he running at this opportunity? Just tell me how that match came together.
Yeah, you know, Coach Schwartz is somebody that I have a ton of respect for, having competed against him over the years. We have a lot of mutual friends. We didn't know each other well, but a ton of guys that I've worked with, that he's worked with. Andrew Berry was with Coach Schwartz previously. So just getting to know him through that process, we are very, very similar. He came up through quality control just like I did. He's a hard worker. He's a no nonsense type of guy. So the guy fit a lot of what we do. And then you just talk schematically and what he's been able to accomplish from a 4-down front in terms of rushing the passer, affecting the quarterback, playing really sound in the back end. I think he checked a lot of boxes for us.
You coming up from, you know, the quality control spot, like you said, is always one of my favorite parts of like your journey here. I talked to Brad Childress about it years ago, and like how you even ended up in Minnesota at all. I mean, I know that's a long time ago, but do you remember those conversations and how you even got into the NFL for the first time?
Oh, without a doubt. And I'll tell you, it's a lot of it is luck. I mean, I've been so lucky and blessed to work with some amazing people. But, you know, you mentioned Coach Childress. I did an internship in the summer of 2005 with the Eagles. And as a lot of people remember, that was the TO summer, the sit-ups in the driveway summer. So I was there for that. I was just a fly on the wall, you know, stocking coolers of Gatorade, that type of thing. And I got to know Coach Childress a little bit. And then I guess January of 2006, he got the Vikings job, and my name came across his desk type of thing, and he hired me to work with him for a few years. And then he and Leslie Frazier and Mike Zimmer were guys that I got to work under, and I'm just so fortunate that I was able to develop as a coach with them. As you know, in our profession, you don't get to stick in one place for very long, but I did, and I was able to move to quarterbacks and running backs and tight ends. But it was just being fortunate to be around some amazing people.
It's been quite a reunion of the guys from that Vikings coaching staff in Arizona. I mean, you knew young Jonathan Gannon. Obviously, you had Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, on your staff there in Cleveland. Nick Rawlis was like an entry-level guy 5 years ago. He's the D coordinator. I got to imagine you've got a few stories about those guys as young assistants.
Without a doubt, and I know this. When you any job, any industry, when you get in at that low end of that totem pole, you better be ready to work, and there's not a lot of glory in what you do. People hear that term quality control. What does it mean? It means everything and anything. It means stuffing playbooks back when they used to have paper playbooks. Now everything's on the iPad. But it's all those menial tasks that you're required to do, and you put in your time. So the guys you mentioned, I was with Chad O'Shea back in 2006 at the Vikings. Chad's our wide receiver coach. He won a bunch of Super Bowls with the Patriots as a wide receiver coach. So it's fun to see young coaches that grind, and I think you get paid off for that at the end. But, man, if you're in this profession, I don't know if there's a better way to start than really at the bottom.
Was Gannon always as hyper confident as he comes across now? And how did that work? How did that personality work in that type of a role?
Oh man, JG is he's one of my favorites. I mean, personality, charisma, energy. The guy just eats and breathes and lives football. It was really fun for me to have him in Philly the last few years. I'm in his hometown working. He was in my hometown working. So it was just a very unique thing. But I'm happy for him out there in Arizona. I think he's going to do great things. But you can't fake that energy. You can't fake it every day. He brings it every single day.
Browns coach Kevin Stefanski is our guest. Tell me about Deshaun Watson. I don't even want to say year two, because year one was very kind of choppy in terms of all the uncertainty and not playing for 11 games. Just tell me about where he's at, relative to a year ago, and also just in terms of his development as a still pretty young quarterback in this league.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with where Deshaun is. As you can imagine, and you mentioned, there was a lot going on, and it was at 6 games last season. And, as a team, we were not perfect. We were up and down. I think we went 3-3 in the games that Deshaun played. As a player, there was some up and down, but there were really glimpses of some impressive, I'll call elite quarterback play that we've all seen from him over the course of his career. So I think where he is right now, hard to compare, to a year ago, but I certainly see a comfort level in what we're doing offensively. I see a guy who's always going to be that guy leading from out in front. That's kind of who he is, and I don't see that wavering one bit. So I'm excited about Deshaun. I think he's really taken the bit in terms of the leadership, and he's going to get the guys together over this break and throw down there in points unknown. But the guy's really taken everything that we've thrown at him, and he's worked. That's something that when we're talking about adding him, I talked to a lot of his former coaches and just the work ethic that he has, and he is the quintessential gym rat. He loves to get in early. He loves to spend time at his craft. So it's been fun to work with him through this offseason.
Deshaun made a comment last week that everything's new with the offense. I'm not going to ask you to give away all your scheme on June 14th here, Kevin, but is this going to be a substantially different offense than you guys have been running in the past?
I think it should be, in that every year you have to change and adapt and evolve. I think there's certain things that we've done just in our time here in Cleveland that are good and sound, and we'll continue to do them. I think there's other things that we've explored throughout last year, certainly throughout this offseason. Spent a lot of time in the offseason, in the practices, working at things that maybe we haven't majored in, if you will. But at the end of the day, and I've said this many times, there's no limit to the amount of football plays. There's no limit to the amount of plays that you can draw up on the board. It's really getting a firm grasp of the things that our quarterback likes, that our players know how to operate, that feature our running back, that feature our wide receivers, our tight ends. It's really, how do you fit this to our guys? Because, again, could I draw up 1,000 plays? You could, but what are the 50 plays that you're going to run on Sunday that you're going to feel good about, that the players are going to feel really good about?
You mentioned you're playing in the Hall of Fame game this year, so that's obviously a change just to the natural rhythm of training camp in the preseason. You're also going to the Greenbrier, which I don't believe you've gone off-site for training camp probably back since your days with the Vikings to Mankato. What was the thought process of, whether it's from a bonding perspective, a team perspective of, taking everybody off-site to West Virginia?
Yeah, I think we're fortunate that we get to play in that Hall of Fame game and we get to honor Joe Thomas throughout that week. And what that extra week gave us was a longer runway into the season. And I just felt that since we don't go away for camp, since we're in Berea, once we get there for training camp and throughout the season, I thought it was could be a good opportunity just to get away. And, going to be away, I think, for 8 nights. And the Greenbrier is a place that has hosted teams before. I just thought with this longer time, let's get away. Let's get out of town. Let's go somewhere where cell service is really, really bad. And let's go practice. And just putting people under the same roof, that kind of achieves a bunch of team bonding, period. That in the old days, as you know, camp would go from about 6:30 a.m. till about 10 p.m.
Right.
Well, you can't do that anymore within the time frame. So guys are leaving the building at, call it, 7 or so, and they're going back to their families. Well, now's an opportunity for just 8 nights. It's not like it's 2 months worth of it, but can we get away together under one roof, figuratively, and come together as a team while you're working, while you're really putting in that work?
What do you think of Za'Darius Smith so far?
Ball of energy, man. Holy cow. That dude. First, he walks into the building. I'm at my desk. I'm working on something, and he's stealth, too, because I'm working, and all of a sudden, before I know it, he's sneaks up behind me, puts me in a huge bear hug. I haven't talked to him on the phone, but I haven't even met him. So he is a big, strong dude. So I would say you hear him before you see him, but in this case I didn't. But when you're out there at practice, his energy is infectious. He works hard at it. He's a pro. He's been there in big games. He's performed. So I'm thrilled to have him. I know he elevates our defensive play, but I also think he elevates our locker room in getting a vet that loves this game.
I mean, AB's been pretty aggressive trade-wise over the last couple of years. It's a lot of value-type trades. I mean, Za'Darius, that wasn't a whole lot. Elijah Moore, you bring that guy in. Obviously, last year was the Amari Cooper trade. Do you feel like, just relative to those first few years, are you closer to this thing looking the way you want it to look in terms of your roster?
I think, credit to AB and his crew for constantly looking for those opportunities to add good players. And as you know, there's sometimes good players are available for reason X, Y, or Z, and maybe the compensation isn't what you thought it would have to be in a normal circumstance. And adding, like you mentioned, Za'Darius and Elijah Moore, these are guys that I think fit what we do from a schematics. I know they fit what we do from a schematics. I also know they fit who we are as people, as the culture. I mean, adding Amari Cooper a couple of years ago and to watch that guy work and watch him perform, my God, watching that dude in one-on-ones, working his craft versus defensive backs and see it in the games. But Amari also fits who we are. He doesn't say much. He's really about that work, but he's a pro's pro. So I think AB is going to constantly be looking to add players that fit who we are. But I think I go back, Tom, to it's an every year proposition. It's 2023. It's really, that's what matters most to us, not so much what has happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future.
Well, and the other teams in the division are loading up too. I mean, there's some small part of you that was sitting there hoping maybe Lamar would miss this season? Some small part of you hoping maybe Joe Burrow doesn't show up without a contract? Do you have some type of almost a fan level rooting interest, just hoping that maybe there's a little bit of chaos elsewhere, given the chaos that you've had to go through over the past few years?
Nah, I can't go there. I know this. It's an awesome division, bunch of great teams, bunch of great coaches. We love competing against this division because if you come out of this division, you're battle tested. It's that good, top to bottom. So we're excited about the opportunity. I think we have our entire division in the first 4 weeks of the season, which is a huge opportunity for us. So we'll see everybody early, but just having competed against these teams the last 4 years, every game is going to matter with the last 2 minutes of the game.
Kevin, you're the best, man. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Appreciate you, Tom. Talk to you, buddy.
All right, man. Enjoy the summer. That is Browns coach Kevin Stefanski joining us.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.